Well, what's up again there, guys? Brian here at 3TR, and I have a very somewhat interesting topic to share with you guys today. As I'm sure you can tell from the title that you clicked on, I'm just going to give you my initial thoughts and opinions on as for why, as I'm starting right now, I will no longer take part in this little social experiment from Nintendo called Pokemon Go. Now, I'd just like to let you guys know that for any of you out there who are playing it right now and are having a blast with it, please continue to do so. And for those of you who are interested in trying it out and just haven't had the time to actually start testing it out for yourself, I implore you to give it a try and to come up with your own opinions. Don't let me influence your judgment. So, with that said, the main problem that I have with Pokemon Go is I simply do not agree with the overall gameplay structure and mechanics that this game is functioning in terms of how the actual world of Pokemon operates. What I mean by that is I don't like the battling system. I do not like how you're supposed to just capture Pokemon just by throwing balls at it. I really hate that you cannot actually train your Pokemon. I hate the upgrading system. I hate how certain attacks are completely locked in place and you cannot influence them. I really hate that there are only certain locations that you can do battles. I hate that there's only a certain way you can actually upgrade and even evolve your Pokemon. It's just the way that this game has structured the rules of Pokemon is completely revamped to a way that it feels completely unrecognizable. The only thing that this game gets right in terms of Pokemon is maybe the experience, the actual physical experience of what it would be like to actually go out in the world, in your own community, walk around and encounter Pokemon and capture them. But what it fails to do is actually try to bring to life the experience of Pokemon that most of us had experienced all our lives. The experience of actually having our own Pokemon, going out into the world, battling other Pokemon, whether it was trainer Pokemon or wild Pokemon, and capturing them and feeling it's a rite of passage. And that's just not how it works at all. Right now, it feels like it's some type of amusement park where you're not really meant to actually work really hard, and the most work that you ever have to really put into it in terms of catching Pokemon is you simply gotta throw the ball just the right direction or at just the right spot to the point where it'll be caught. Now let me start off by saying this. I'm not saying I hadn't had any moments of fun playing this, because I did. Maybe the first day or so. I thought it was really interesting how I was just kind of going out my usual day and I was seeing all these Pokemon from here to work and, just capturing them. And I thought that was fun. But the upgrade and experience system, I think, is absolutely BS. The fact that in order to really upgrade your Pokemon, you have to capture so many of that same Pokemon. And then you capture these, and you build up these little things called Pokemon candy, and they're specific. So only this type of candy can only go to this specific Pokemon, and you have to capture so many of them. Then you have to send them and transfer them over to your professor, who will give you an extra one. And so you have to catch so many of one Pokemon in order to evolve one Pokemon. And what's worse is that perhaps there's a weaker Pokemon that you've captured, which is weaker than the one you already have, and they have the attacks that you want. You don't have you can't control what attacks that this Pokemon has that you can use in battle. There's no control. This isn't how it was in the original Game Boy games, where as you evolved their Pokemon, they could have learned attacks, and you had to choose which attacks you were going to use. And when it comes to battling, that has its own series of problems. A big issue I've had with the battling system is I don't like how you can only battle at gyms. What happened to random encounters? Why can't I just go out and, maybe someone's in the area and I can, choose to battle them, and maybe like a little icon will pop up saying, this trainer in this area wants to battle you. Do you accept? I think the system should work like that. And I know that might bring its own set of issues, but I think it kind of removes the main issue that I've always had with the gyms, and that is why there is, and that is because gyms are in a constant state of changing. Here's the worst example of that. I was at work, and I was working at this really big building. It's really big. It's like it's got a bowling alley, a theater, a casino, a hotel, and on the other side, really the other far distant side of this building, and it's a pretty big building, there just happens to be a gym by this train station. Now, when I got there at, say, about 4 o'clock, the main gym Pokemon there was a Flareon. Now, my starter was a Bulbasaur, and I had really no way of upgrading it, so I had to capture a Poliwag, which we have a little river area, and so there's, a Poliwag. Now, I spent about 6 hours upgrading it and getting it ready to take on this Flareon. So by the time it was about 8 o'clock at night when I was ready to challenge this thing, it was something completely different. And that's something I don't really like. The advantage I think that the original concept of Pokemon had was that there were certain structured goals. There was an objective to be achieved. You knew what to expect going in, and so you could better prepare for it. By having a gym system, a battle system where it's in a constant state of changing, you can never truly be prepared for any one battle. And so it's possible that you can spend so much time upgrading and trying to evolve one type of Pokemon just to find out that you upgraded and evolved the wrong Pokemon for this specific battle. And then the battle system itself just seems really weird because it's kind of like, it has kind of the same viewpoint that you would expect from Pokemon, except you're supposed to press like left or right in order to try to dodge attacks. But it doesn't really seem to work out that much. It just seems like when you press your Pokemon enough times, it'll like do the first attack, and if you wait long enough, then you can do the second attack. And I just think that system is just completely insignificant. I'm much more fan of JRPGs and therefore a turn-based system. I think that's how Pokemon should always operate. And when it comes to capturing Pokemon, although I think the experience of actually seeing them in real life is, kind of neat. I mean, it's kind of cute seeing your Pokemon out there and trying to catch it. I think that's, cute for a little bit. I think that as a Pokemon trainer, or at least Pokemon trainer that I've always felt that I felt that needing to catch certain Pokemon required you to have to test your skills as a trainer in order to earn Pokemon. So if there was a specific Pokemon that I wanted, I felt the need that I had to challenge myself in order to catch it. And I think this is going to be extremely important when it comes to legendaries. I mean, would any of you really feel worthy of capturing, say, an Articuno or a Zapdos or Moltres if all you had to do was throw a Pokeball? I mean, half the point of those encounters was that you took your Pokemon, your team, you would spend all this time training and building up for maybe a specific moment, and you want to test your skills as a trainer in order to damage it enough to the point where you could capture it. But if we tried that with Pokemon Go, all you need to do is just throw a ball. I mean, would any of you guys feel like you're worthy? Would you feel like you deserved it because you just threw a Pokeball the right way? I personally wouldn't feel that way at all. And overall just doesn't feel like the type of game I can see many people playing in 3 months. I think this is something that's really, really popular now, but at some point people are just going to get kind of bored of it, because as it stands right now, in this immediate area here in Vegas, in this part of town, I've already captured all the Pokemon that you can in this area. And I think that the whole concept of you gotta go out there and catch them all is kind of impossible, because I'm pretty sure that 75% of this list is in either other cities or other places that chances are I will not be visiting in the next 2 or 3 months. So what is the point of trying to stick with this small group of Pokemon if I already know for a fact that this is my limit? This is as far as I can go. The only thing I can do is train for battles or at gyms, which are in a constant state of moving, which means I can never truly be prepared for any one scenario. And the fact that it's possible that you can only use one Pokemon in order to go through a series of gym leaders is ridiculous, because I can maybe take down the first member of this gym just to walk into the next person and have a Pokemon that is completely ineffective or is going to be at a serious disadvantage. And I just don't like that unpredictable feeling of not knowing what to expect when you go into these battles. And what really broke the camel's back for me is the fact that now that I'm officially out of Pokeballs, I can't really do anything. I can't capture more Pokeballs, or since I don't really need to anymore, I can't capture any more Pokemon. And the only way to continue is either I go around town looking for these little blue hubs and flip them around and then maybe hope that a Pokeball will be in there, which sometimes there are, or I have to spend some of my own money in order to buy more Pokeballs. Now, I have never really been a fan of microtransactions for freemium games, because it reminds me very much of one of my all-time favorite episodes of South Park, and which is the problem with that system, and that is it's kind of addictive. Because the concept is you want to keep catching Pokemon, you want to have to keep upgrading, you want to evolve these Pokemon, but you can't do it unless you pay for it. And I think that's just crazy, and it has its own set of problems, which I just want nothing to do with. Because there's one thing that I can openly say about Pokemon, which is why I kind of stopped playing it several years ago, is that Pokemon is a very, very addictive game. It was addicting all the way from Pokemon Blue, Red, Yellow, Silver, Gold, Crystal was when I stopped, and it is probably going to continue to do so. I mean, I think the only way they'll be able to continue with this system is if eventually they add, like, the next generation of Pokemon. So instead of having the original 150 first generation Pokemon, then they'll add the Johto League. And it'll just continue on and on. I think that'll be the only way Nintendo will be able to keep this game relevant. And at that point, I think most of us will have moved on. Now, again, these are just a series of the issues that I have with this game and why I've just chosen not to play it. But if you have found some way to keep this game entertaining, keep going. And if you still want to try it out even though you're just not sure if you want to give it a go, I say give it a try, play it for a week, and then decide whether this is something you want to continue on playing. But as for me, I've had this game for a good week. I've done everything I can with it in terms of capturing Pokemon and battling. I don't agree with this system. I don't agree with its experience of how it utilizes the world of Pokemon. And I just have had enough of it, and I want to move on to other things that are much more worthy of my time. So, those are my thoughts. I would love to hear your thoughts on Pokemon Gold. Do you see yourself playing this in 3 months? Share your thoughts with me and everybody in the comments down below. And if you like this video, or don't, feel free to like, comment down below, and please subscribe to check out my future topic videos. And like always, thank you guys for watching. You're awesome, and I will see you next time.